So the spoilers for the most recent chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen have come out, and let's just say this chapter was very good. It was a very good chapter. We got to see Sukuna in his full Heian era form, so we get to see that full powered kind of Sukuna form with the forearms, and we actually start off the chapter with the narrator telling us that Sukuna, because of the fact that he has 4 arms and 2 mouths and just, all of these different body parts, that he is able to simultaneously chant incantations while doing hand signs. So he can do all of this without even wasting breath, and seemingly I think he can just do this while he's fighting completely without wasting any breath, without getting tired. And this is honestly kind of touted as something insane in the series, and I can imagine the fact that you're able to literally do hand signs and chant cursed technique incantations while fighting at the same time. This would give you the edge on somebody that just has 2 arms and can only really do one of these at the same time. Before we get into the rest of the video though, real quick, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy anything you see here today, as I do weekly spoiler videos and just Jujutsu Kaisen videos every couple days on the channel. Thank you. The chapter actually starts off with Kashimo literally praising Sukuna, and he legit just tells him like he was using his x-ray eyes, and I'm assuming that he has a sort of vision that can kind of see through people. I'm assuming obviously this is a byproduct of what he did with his cursed energy in the last chapter, but I digress. Basically what he was saying is he was staring at Sukuna and looking at him, and all he could see was perfection. This of course led us into what I was saying at the beginning of the video, where we noticed the narrator talk about how Sukuna just has so many hands and arms and mouths that he can do so many different things all at once without even getting tired. We actually get a very big lore drop inside of this video, and I'm thinking that this is actually real life lore. I haven't really looked it up, but I have heard of these people, the Celestials, the Void, like they're kind of going over this, but essentially what happened is Sukuna used both his body and his cursed tools called Kamutoke and Hiten, and he used these to completely wipe out the Celestial Squad and the 5 Void Generals under the Fujiwara Hoke clan. So I think that I did hear about this clan like actually existing in the world, I'm pretty sure, and I'm assuming that like in Jujutsu Kaisen obviously they probably had cursed energy, and it was obviously very different from the real life versions or counterparts of these. But it is very cool seeing that Sukuna's lore is literally tied in with sort of Japanese lore from back in the day, and obviously we do see this with Sukuna's character in general. He's literally tied to a sort of a Japanese god of mischief, so he's kind of tied to that, but it is cool seeing that he is tied to historical lore also. They also mention a darkness purification kind of squad that also included angels, plural maybe. So the narrator kind of explains that, and I'm assuming that maybe there was a clan full of people that had the abilities very similar to the angel that we know, and it would make sense as to why Angel kind of calls Sukuna like the fallen one or whatever she calls him. So she kind of seems to have a personal grudge with him, so I'm assuming that this is from the fact that maybe there was like a sort of clan like full of people with abilities very similar to hers that were fighting off Sukuna and couldn't really get the job done back in the day. It's at this point that Kashimo and Sukuna start to kind of slug it out, and it already isn't looking really good for Kashimo. I didn't really expect him to start kind of getting on the back foot this fast into the fight. I thought it'd be like a bit more competitive, and then obviously Sukuna would kind of pick up the pace near the end, maybe near the middle bit, and start really doing damage. I didn't really think Kashimo would be able to take down Sukuna, but I didn't expect him to start kind of getting washed this early on into the fight, and we're kind of seeing that he's kind of getting beat up by Sukuna. Sukuna really isn't struggling too much, and he even pulls out I'm assuming it's like a sort of Kamehameha attack. It looks very similar to that, but he literally pulls this out, and Sukuna does this weird sort of reflection ability, and I don't think he's done this earlier on in the series. I don't think we've ever seen anything similar to this, so he kind of just seemingly reflected it by using a power called Dragon Scales for the first one, and then he says Parameteors, so he seemingly, I think, doubles the attack or did something to reflect it back at Kashimo. We're not exactly sure, but he did actually use that Dismantle ability again, the same one that took down Gojo. He used this on Kashimo, and he even tells Kashimo, hey, you better dodge this right before he does it. And honestly, that's kind of crazy, like to have somebody literally tell you, hey, dodge this ability before they show it off, just shows the highest level of cockiness, and Sukuna is the king of this. But it's very crazy that he's doing this against somebody like Kashimo, who isn't a pushover, who's, like I said in the last video, is very similar and very relative to Gojo in terms of strength. He is, and he was the strongest of his own generation, a demon, somebody that nobody could really defeat, and he's honestly getting beat up by Sukuna very badly in this. It's not really competitive right now. Sukuna is just doing the most, and he isn't really able to answer anything back. So this is at the point in the chapter where we get a lot of narration, and it's Sukuna basically just talking about the idea of love again, and he says that there was somebody very similar in the past to Gojo and Kashimo, so somebody that was probably very relative in strength to them, somebody that was very strong for their own era. And Sukuna says that, you know, I kind of fought them and they started to tell me that I don't know what love is because of the fact that I'm so strong and I have no equal, so I just will never, you know, understand that. And Sukuna's only response to this was that he was very annoyed that somebody said he didn't really know something. So honestly, Sukuna, just being the boss that he is, he says that the only thing that really bothered him was the fact that somebody said he didn't know something. So he explains that they chose the wrong person to kind of talk about this too, so I'm assuming Sukuna did take them out, but they chose the wrong person to try to lecture. After Sukuna kind of gives this pseudo explanation on love and how, you know, there was somebody very similar to Gojo and Kashimo, it instantly turns into another beating for Kashimo, and it just isn't close. It isn't even close at all. Sukuna is just so strong in his full powered forearm form that it isn't close, and he instantaneously starts beating up on Kashimo more, and we see that he launches a net, a straight up net of dismantles and cleaves or whatever they are. It's just, it isn't good, and Kashimo realizes like, yeah, this is probably the end. I don't know what I can really do to this. He doesn't really have an answer to it, and we instantly get him kind of in like a sort of afterlife stage, very similar to what Sukuna does to a lot of people, where we kind of see them in the afterlife, but we see him kind of there as an old person, you know, his previous form when he was about to pass away before he kind of got that, you know, offer from Kenjaku, and we see him talking to Sukuna. Sukuna then lectures Kashimo, talking about the different people that most likely challenged him throughout his life, and he essentially explains to him that a lot of the people that challenged Kashimo wanted validation. They wanted to fight somebody strong to, I guess, sort of validate their existence or kind of be seen as, you know, strong. They wanted attention, sort of, in a way. I think that's how he's trying to explain it. And what he explains is that he does the opposite. He does whatever he wants. He has never once wanted validation from anybody. He's never once wanted to become stronger for anybody but himself. And he has never once in his life wanted to do anything that would satisfy another person. He does whatever he wants. He does whatever he needs to. You know, he is a sort of walking calamity, and that really is the best way to put it. He does whatever he wants without regard for what anybody else in the entire world thinks, and that is why he's that strong. And this is essentially the same thing that he told Jogo, and he's saying this to Kashimo. So he's literally giving people kind of the keys to become as strong as he is. He needs people to understand that you shouldn't be chasing, I'm assuming even after Sukuna's strength, he's saying that people shouldn't even strive to be as strong as Sukuna, quote unquote. They should be striving to just be strong in general, and that's kind of where the flaw is with a lot of the people that are trying to get to his level. This is actually where the chapter for this week ends, and we do see Yuji finally pop up in the chapter, and he is there with Higuruma. And a subscriber of mine mentioned the fact that Yuji's arms kind of look like it has exposed bone or something very similar. It isn't really like his normal arms, so there's something kind of in the arm growing out of it, or if it's the bone exposed. They did mention that, and I did feel like that is very similar to one of the aspects of the death paintings that I mentioned in another video of mine that I put out, and you're going to see that in the top right corner. I put out a video kind of talking about the different powers that he would get from those 6 death paintings, and this honestly looks like one of them where he does have that exposed bone kind of out there. So maybe this is kind of confirming that he is going to get that death paintings power up. Maybe. I did think that this would happen. I really want this to happen, and a lot of people have been talking about the whole soul swapping thing. Maybe this is kind of, you know, helping him use the death paintings. Maybe he needs that soul swapping ability to fully utilize it. So I'm just a sucker for the death paintings aspect and him getting all 6 of those abilities, but we honestly just don't know what it is, and we're gonna have to wait for the next chapter to fully know what exactly is going on with Yuji. But with that being said though, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed anything you see here today, and if you do want to see many more spoiler videos for the weeks to come. With that being said though, I'm out. Peace.